I think it's an easy time right now for Ohio State fans to panic about what the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator / offensive line jobs being open means for the future and the current state of the program. And I think it's also easy for critics to be critical of Ohio State to be in this situation. And today I'm going to talk about why I don't think Ohio State fans should be worried and why I don't think critics should be critical of the situation. From an Ohio State fan's perspective, Chip Kelly leaving from the offensive coordinator job at Ohio State to be the offensive coordinator of the Oakland Raiders, especially when he's so deeply interconnected with Ryan Day. The reason Chip Kelly left his job at UCLA was because he had a deep familiarity with Ryan Day, and then after a year, he bolts. It's easy to then question, if you're an Ohio State fan, like, is something amiss? Is there something wrong there? Because you're worried about the exodus of coaches. You're worried, and especially a coach that has given up a Power 4 job to come work with Ryan Day and now is leaving. But there's important context there. Reportedly, the Oakland Raiders are paying Chip Kelly $6 million a year. $6 million a year. And when Chip Kelly has been on the record as being like, dude, I just want to coach football. I don't want to do all the other bull crap that comes with coaching or being a head coach in the college ranks. I want to teach football to other people. And despite Chip Kelly not being like the world's biggest recruiter at Ohio State, he doesn't have to worry about any of that as the Las Vegas Raiders offensive coordinator. He has to worry about teaching and coaching football, talking about football, thinking about football. And they're going to pay you $6 million a year to do it. They're going to make you the highest paid offensive coordinator in the sport. That's a really difficult job to turn down, even though you have a deep interpersonal relationship with Ryan Day as the head coach of Ohio State. $6 million, and I don't got to recruit 17, 18, 19-year-old kids while also constantly being worried about which one of my players is going to hit the transfer portal and what that's going to mean for the future. That's a tough deal to pass up. And so I know that it's easy to look at that situation and go, especially from an outsider's perspective, especially from somebody who wants to be critical of Ohio State or wants to, Michigan fans, essentially, to say your coaches who helped you win a national championship don't want to be at your program anymore. And while that might be true, that they don't want, it's not even true. Team success builds individual success. Every single time. No matter what the sport, no matter what the situation, team success leads to individual success. Inevitably, no matter the situation. Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that led him to, he is now the lead television analyst on Fox. He has endorsement deals from Subway down to Ugg boots because he had team success. And no matter the sport, Tyreek Hill got hundreds of millions of dollars from the Miami Dolphins because he was a part of team success with the Kansas City Chiefs. Every time somebody wins a title, every time somebody is successful as a collective unit, everybody looks at the individuals in a whole different light. Everybody views those individuals as significantly better, significantly more improved, or just from a significantly better light than you did before. So, a year ago at this time, if somebody said the Las Vegas Raiders, and if I said Oakland earlier, sorry. If the Las Vegas Raiders were going to spend $6 million a year to make UCLA head coach Chip Kelly their offensive coordinator, it would be the first topic on First Take. It would be the topic of every sports talk radio show of like, what in the bleep are the Las Vegas Raiders doing by taking Chip Kelly, who led his team to a 5-7 record, as the offensive coordinator? But because he's coming off a title, because he's coming off being the offensive coordinator of a team that won the championship, nobody really bats an eye. Nobody says like, yeah, That's a logical decision. Former NFL head coach with experience, just won a national title. Yeah, that tracks. And for Jim Knowles to get the payday that he got from Penn State, one, it helps Penn State, in their eyes, damage their rival, makes their defense better. They pony up a little bit of money to get the job done. If they did that a year ago, does Jim Knowles get the money he gets? No, of course not. Does Justin Fry become the offensive line coach of the Arizona Cardinals after the 2023 season? Probably not. But you win a title, and when you win a title, when you're on the sport's grandest stage, everybody pays more attention. So team success leads to individual success. Everybody who's in the transfer portal leaving Ohio State this year is going to be viewed as probably a higher level prospect than maybe they should be, because team success leads to individual success. And so it's easy because we always look for the negative. We always look for the problem. What is going on at Ohio State? Why is the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, offensive line coach, why are they all bailing? Instead of taking that kind of step back and viewing it from a different aspect, because it's easy to listen to the naysayers. It's easy to listen to the negativity and question, like, oh, well, wait, crap. Are things bad? Is Ryan Day a bad leader? Or is there issues in that coaching staff? Did Larry Johnson and Ryan Day conspire to not let Jim Knowles run the defense? I don't know the answer to all of those questions, but it sure is logical to think that when Ohio State losing to Michigan is the biggest story of the regular season of college football. So you are on the top and the forefront of everyone's radar. And then you go into the college football playoff, kick Tennessee's ass, kick Oregon's ass, beat Texas by 2 touchdowns, and then win the national championship over Notre Dame. You're going to stay at the top of everybody's radar. And so when you're looked at under that microscope, one, naysayers is going to somewhat follow you, because everybody likes to tear down who's on top. The Kansas City Chiefs are kicking ass in the NFL for the 3rd straight year. Now, your argument, well, they didn't even score 3 points. They're in the Super Bowl for the 3rd straight year. And everybody hates them. They've got a fun quarterback who is maybe potentially the best at his position ever, a tight end who has been at the best at the top of his field for a really long time. They play a really interesting brand of football. The most famous woman on the planet is dating one of their players, and people hate them because a sustained level of success sucks. So we always want to tear down who's on top, and that's just part of what comes with the territory. But the logic just says, like, hey, what happened was Ohio State performed at its best at the most important time, when the most people were watching, when the most important people were watching, when the most important time of filling coaching vacancies was happening. Ohio State and their coaches were impressing. Logically, team success leads to individual success. Those individuals go find and capitalize on that success elsewhere. It's just a byproduct of winning. And you know what is an awesome spot to be in? Having to worry about the byproducts of winning. So I don't think that Ohio State fans should be freaked out right now that they don't have an offensive coordinator, or that there maybe isn't somebody at the forefront from the outside, because I think a lot of people will tell you that the expectation is that Brian Hartline will go from co-offensive coordinator to simply offensive coordinator. Whether that means he's calling the plays or Ryan Day goes back to calling the plays remains to be determined. They'll probably still need to hire a quarterback's coach, an offensive line coach, and a defensive coordinator if they don't fill that position from within the staff already as well. But I don't think it's time to panic. I don't think it's time to freak out or even really have deep level discussions of, oh my God, who in the hell is going to be the defensive coordinator? I understand that that's a really important position, especially when you just saw that position be highlighted in a national championship run? But I don't know that you need to have the answer to that question before Valentine's Day. Spring practice is going to happen a little bit later at Ohio State. They're not going to be, it's going to be a bit of a reset anyway. So I don't think, obviously, you don't want to get to St. Patrick's Day and you don't have an offensive coordinator, you don't have a defensive coordinator. But I think 2 weeks after winning the national championship, the idea that the sky could potentially be falling from Columbus. And I don't think that's the Ohio State perspective. I don't think that the Ohio State fan base is, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? But it's really easy for that narrative to perpetuate from other fan bases when look at all of these guys who no longer wanted to be there anymore, rather than just take the logical conclusion of like, well, yeah, they got raises and got to go to the NFL because they coached really well. Or they got raises and got to coach to a conference rival, someplace that is closer to home. I think logic doesn't always prevail in college football, but sometimes it's important to take that step back and go, oh, so this is what happened. And that's all there is to it. That'll do it for today's episode of the Daily Huddle. I appreciate you making us a part of your day, however it is, wherever it is you're doing so. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you're getting all the great college football content we're pumping out. If you're listening on the podcast feed, drop a 5-star review. Goes a long way in helping out the channel. I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of the Daily Huddle.